Well, 10 years ago, the Energy Independence and Security Act was signed into law, greatly expanding the scope as well as the impact to the renewable fuel standard. In the decades since passage, progress has been made towards greater energy security, cleaner air, and also boosting local economies. Joining us now is President and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association, Bob Dinneen. Bob, thanks for joining us today. First of all, speak to the progress of the RFS that we've seen maybe in regards specifically to ethanol plants and jobs that have been created.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. But the RFS has been a tremendous success. We've gone from 110 plants in 2007 to 211 this year that are in operation. But we've also gone from 6.5 billion gallons of production in 2007 to almost 16 billion, 143% increase. But what's most important to that, as the industry has grown, we've added jobs. There's been a 42% increase in employment to what is today about 340,000 jobs all across the country that is tied to this industry. It has been a tremendous jolt to rural economic activity. And
how has corn production grown during that same time frame?
Well, you have seen an increase in corn production. In 2007, we grew 13 billion bushels. This year, of course, it's about 14.6 billion gallons, so about 12%. But in fact, the corn acres planted has fallen about 3%. You've seen an increase in production with increased yields. In 2007, the average yield per per acre was 150.7 bushels per acre. This year, it's 175.5 bushels per acre. So you've gotten that increase in productivity because farmers are getting more for their commodity. They're reinvesting that in new technologies and farming practices that make them more efficient. Feed companies have been able to reinvest their profits into technology that's making all of agriculture more efficient.
And Bob, of course, focusing on the greenhouse gas emissions, that's a key point and a key driver for ethanol use. Talk about the impact that we've had from it since RFS was instated.
Well, sure. You've seen tremendous benefits in terms of lowering greenhouse gases. We've gone from 12.7 million tons of CO2 equivalent avoided using ethanol in 2007 to, in 2017, about 50 million tons of CO2 equivalent, at 291% increase in greenhouse gas emissions avoided. That's because not only are we using more domestic renewable fuels, but the companies have become more efficient and are using less energy in order to produce a gallon of ethanol, and farmers are using fewer energy inputs. So all across the system, there's been carbon efficiency built into it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. President and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association, Bob Dinneen, on the phone with us from Washington, D.C. Well, meteorologist Tim Ross has the latest update to your weather forecast. That's coming up at 40 past the hour.